All right, well, I guess we'll move on to some more ogenous, unless you had anything you wanted to talk about.
Nope. Nothing on my mind at the moment.
Okay. Let's see. Alzheimer's disease is a prehensile dementia, usually occurring in middle age and associated with sclerosis and nerve deterioration. The hardening is in the nerves of the brain that delineate motor impulses, preventing proper association with motor commands. In advanced cases, hardening has extended to ganglia, disrupting sensory as well as motor response patterns. Alzheimer's is mainly the result of low blood protein levels over long periods, such as in vegetarianism or fruitarianism, or in someone who lacks enzyme mutations for digesting and assimilating cooked or processed protein, or lacks enzyme mutations for digesting and assimilating cooked or processed sugar, forming calcification along nerves, which erodes nerve tissue. Another factor that causes Alzheimer's is accumulated aluminum from vaccines, canned food and beverages, aluminum cookware, and chemtrails. Oh, wow. He actually mentions chemtrails in here. That's pretty impressive. This book was written in, what, the expanded edition? Looks like 2005. That's pretty impressive to mention chemtrails. Anyway, aluminum destroys zeta potential, causing high sediment in blood and neuroserums and excessive clotting. That often causes hardening and scarring in the brain. Avoiding cooked and processed protein, including all meat, eggs, roasted nuts, and nut butters, and avoiding cooked and processed sugar, including drinks, jams, or jellies, steamed and or sulfured fruits, any canned food, and deodorants that contain aluminum, stops progression of this malady. Usually, by the time Alzheimer's symptoms manifest, hardening and deterioration of nerve tissue is too advanced to reverse. However, recent indications lead me to believe that frequently eating fresh raw coconut cream with cucumber dissolves the hardening of nerves that cause Alzheimer's, affecting reversal in its early stages. He mentions coconut cream a lot. I've never had coconut cream. Have you?
No. What is that again?
I don't even know. I don't know. It's different from coconut oil, though. Coconut cream. Yeah, I don't know.
Must just be blended coconut meat.
I think so, yeah. I think that's how he talked about making it.
Coconut oil being the pressing of the meat. They expel the oil.
Uh-huh. Wonder if I could buy some. I'll have to look, maybe.
Yeah, if you just eat the milk that comes on the inside, the coconut water.
Yeah.
The whole coconut.
Yeah.
That stuff's a good energy burst.
Uh-huh. It says eating fresh raw coconut cream with banana or eating 1 tablespoon daily of cold-pressed below 96 degrees Fahrenheit peanut oil with 5 drops of quinine water gradually dissolves hardening of the arteries that feed the brain. Also, drinking moldy water from rinsing moldy raw grains every 3 weeks for the rest of one's life and eating moldy grains once every 6 months for the rest of one's life removes some hardening. Eating a raw food diet with plenty of raw meats, especially fish, fresh raw fruit, and nut formula strengthens mental functions. Moldy grains are made by soaking 1/3 cup of one or more kinds of grain in a glass or ceramic vessel containing 6 ounces mineral water for 3 days, then pouring off the fermented water and drinking it immediately. Then let the fermented grains stand for 6 to 8 days in a place with little natural light with a cloth covering the vessel. After 6 to 8 days, pour a 1/2 cup distilled water over the moldy grains and stir until the mold is mixed into the water. Pour off and drink. Once every 6 months, moldy grains may be eaten after blending only 3 ounces of moldy grains with a half-cup distilled water. So I've never heard about that.
Hey, I'm looking up I looked up quinine. It is that anti-malarial herb.
Okay. So quinine water is just what, the herb in the water? Or what?
It's got an extract of the herb in the water, yeah. I've often actually seen that stuff in the alcohol aisle as a tonic water. It's
the quinine water?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
It's like a flavoring, a mixer for alcohol.
Interesting. So you just buy that and drink that straight then?
I guess so. Or add it to whatever he's talking about. Yeah, you're going to want to add it to something because it's bitter, man.
Okay. Huh. I'll have to look for that sometime. Okay, so anemia is a low red blood cell level or weak red blood cells that cause oxygen deficiencies. That results in carbon dioxide accumulations in cells, decreased blood and general body efficiency, general weakness, paleness, brittle nails, loss of appetite, fatigue, abdominal pain, and lower rates of bodily processes. If affecting the brain, anemia causes dizziness. If a person is exhausted all the time, usually she or he is anemic. Choosing whichever meat is appropriate for a person's type and eating it raw daily or at least 3 times weekly usually corrects anemia. Okay. Anger. Anger is emotional feedback that something in a person's life needs to change. Realize what is making you angry and resolve it rationally. Leaving a situation that is inappropriate for you or is irresolvable may be the best choice. Letting go of concepts, desires, things, and people that are not good for you and that you can't change with love and compassion opens doors for better opportunities. An overly acidic system causes irritability that can evolve into anger and violence. Cooking meat forms heterocyclic amines and lipid peroxides that irritate nerves in many people. I suggest that you eat raw white meats. Anger expressed as violence usually perpetuates violence and fear. Therefore, be certain that violent words or actions are constructive and the only option. Nutritionally, eating a nut formula or cooked starch with raw fat and raw fresh fruit helps eliminate excess adrenaline, calming anger in about 20 to 40 minutes. Exercise is also extremely helpful, especially one you enjoy. So, angina pectoris is the cramping of muscles in or around the heart. Most always, the cramps are a natural process by which the body tries to increase circulation and remove toxins and hardened fat from muscles and arteries. A lack of enzyme mutations for digesting, assimilating, and utilizing cooked green foods and mostly vegetable oils are responsible for most hardening of the arteries that causes heart muscle spasms. Avoiding cooked green foods and vegetable oils stops the accumulations. Eating raw green foods, salads with a fat-free dressing as the last meal of the day helps remove the resins and residues that cause this type of hardening of the arteries. A preferred dressing would be raw, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar or a mixture of fresh lemon juice and raw, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. Some people would benefit from using a raw wine/vinegar dressing, that is, an organic raw wine, pesticide-free, chemical fertilizer-free, and preservative-free, and an organic raw, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. Eating raw fat with other foods, especially with a little lemon juice, helps lubricate the hardened arteries. Eating raw coconut cream with cucumbers helps remove hardened resins. Eating bananas, non-steamed dates, tomatoes, melons, or unripe pineapple with plenty of raw fat, especially raw coconut cream, helps to relieve the lactic acid buildup and the resulting soreness from muscle spasms. Interesting. I've heard Gatus talk about how muscle soreness is caused by lactic acid buildup.
Yeah, that's what they say builds up after a heavy workout the next day. You're all stiff.
Mm-hmm. What causes the lactic acid? Is that, you know?
Nah, I thought that was just a natural byproduct of it.
I think Gatus was trying to claim that it wasn't a result of diet, I think. He was claiming that doesn't happen to him anymore. He doesn't get muscle soreness or anything. Anyway, anxiousness expressed as unsettled desire or fear is often caused by excess adrenaline or other hormones or toxins. Eating no salt added raw cheese and or the nut formula or small amounts of cooked starch with plenty of raw fat usually calms this condition. Drinking naturally sparkling mineral waters helps to calm the adrenals. Eating salt is especially toxic here and should be avoided. Eating raw meats, especially white with red and plenty of raw fat, helps mitigate and soothe this condition. Eating unheated honey or a few non-steamed dates with raw fat help maintain enzymes and blood sugar level during anxious times when tremendous amounts of blood sugars and enzymes are utilized. If accompanied with the shakes, anxiety is often caused by a low protein level. Eating raw meats, especially white meats, no salt added raw cheeses, or cooked starch with raw fat calms this condition. So appendicitis is an inflammation in the appendix. Symptoms: pain in the lower abdominal area that graduates to severe is most common. Also nausea, sometimes high fevers with sweating, and feelings of failure accompanied with feelings of low self-esteem. Drinking a large glass of raw fresh tomatoes, for some people the Roman variety is more effective, blended with at least 5 tablespoons of unheated honey and 5 teaspoons of the fresh juice of lemons, neutralizes this volatile toxic condition and calms the infection without antibiotics.
Wait, what does he say that condition is triggered by?
He hasn't said yet. He just said inflammation in the appendix.
Oh, and hey, does he mean, when he says Roman tomatoes, does he mean Roma?
I don't know. He said it's a Roman variety.
Yeah, he probably means Roma.
Maybe, I don't know. It's spelled Roman.
It could just be a typo.
Could be, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it says that neutralizes this volatile toxic condition and calms the infection without antibiotics. Drinking this concoction every 4 hours until symptoms are gone usually relieves pain and heals this condition quickly. Oh, hold on. Also, eating 1 tablespoon raw unsalted butter with 1 tablespoon of no salt added raw cheese every hour helps absorb toxins discharged from the appendix. If nervousness is experienced, eating some French bread with avocado or other raw fat, if avocado is not available, usually settles the body's symptoms. Drinking 2 ounces of fresh raw lime or beet juices every 4 hours and or eating raw, fresh corn on or off the cob helps to regulate infection and control toxins. Arteriosclerosis is a condition of mineral buildup in the arteries. Symptoms: frequent nausea, sharp pains without apparent cause, feelings of deep fear and despair, pronounced indignation on all subjects, quivering hands and feet, and life is viewed as stressful. Eating a half to 1 cup unripe pineapple with 1/4 cup coconut cream daily for up to 7 days in a row helps digestion, assimilation, and utilization. However, pineapple often causes over-emotionality. Therefore, be aware of your moods and eat pineapple cautiously. Raw fats are soluble, easily soothing and lubricating to the entire body. Eating plenty of raw fat ensures that mineral toxicity is very gradually removed from the body, not reabsorbed. Eating fresh raw coconut cream with banana gradually dissolves hardened mineral buildup. This can also be achieved more slowly by eating raw citrus and raw fat together, such as live pineapple with avocado or live pineapple with raw cream, or raw eggs with raw orange juice, or raw orange and avocado, or raw orange and raw cream. Arthritis is inflammation in the joints or the connective tissue that is accompanied by soreness or pain. Arthritis is usually caused by volatile toxins that cause decay in the joints. Often bacteria results that try to help the body remove joint toxicity by eating decayed cells. Drinking a blend of 2 raw tomatoes with 4 tablespoons fresh raw lemon juice most often relieves pain within several hours. All foods which help alkalize the blood are helpful in this condition, especially raw, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. If you have a taste for cherries, eating raw cherries helps to prevent uric acid deposits in joints. Or eating raw celery or drinking raw celery juice does the same. Drinking 6 to 8 ounces of raw milk blended with 1 tablespoon of cold pressed below 96 degrees Fahrenheit flaxseed oil, peanut oil, or unheated above 96 degrees Fahrenheit fermented coconut oil helps lubricate and strengthen joints. The best recipe for lubricating and strengthening joints is the drink for moisturizing and lubrication, page 210. Applying a poultice made of 1 raw celery stalk blended with 2 tablespoons grated raw horseradish root to a painful joint most often reduces pain within 20 minutes. Asphyxiation occurs when high levels of pollutants are breathed, causing exhaustion, shortness of breath, claustrophobia, headache, dizziness, fainting, choking, nausea, and vomit. Even a so-called minor asphyxiation, breathing air in a theater or office building that uses gaseous formaldehyde in the ventilation system to retard molds, produces nausea, claustrophobia, and headache in some people. Eating whatever raw fats that are appealing to you with raw meat or a little unripe fresh raw fruit clears toxins from the blood. Avocado and no salt added raw cheeses are 2 raw fats that are especially helpful. A raw diet in which at least 40% of calories are from raw fat, including no salt added raw cheeses, eaten for at least 10 days has produced the best results. Drinking 2 cups of naturally sparkling mineral water daily helps restore the electrolyte balance and oxygen level of the blood. Asthma is a chronic respiratory condition that is both allergy and emotionally related. It often occurs in individuals who are or feel that they are repressed. Finding a way to express yourself creatively and to communicate helps to heal asthma. Symptoms: chest tightness, frequent coughing, wheezing, or whistling sounds that altogether make a sufferer feel as if he or she is suffocating. Avoid processed cheeses and caffeine in any form, such as coffee, chocolate, medications, soft drinks, and teas, all of which are especially poisonous to an asthmatic condition. Avoid store-bought mayonnaise and mustard. They prevent proper digestion and the metabolism of certain minerals. Eating plenty of raw fish, plenty of raw eggs, and plenty of tomatoes helps heal asthma. Raw tomatoes may be juiced or made into a raw sauce. When available, drinking raw milk with eating raw fish or drinking raw milk with raw eggs speeds the healing process. Getting plenty of sunshine, fresh air, and enjoying open places also helps. These foods help relieve asthmatic symptoms. Eggs, unripe raw apricots, fresh raw garlic, fresh raw horseradish, raw Jerusalem artichokes, and sunflower seeds used as the nut in the nut formula, or a little raw potato juice. Eating 1 to 2 eggs every hour relieves asthmatic fits. Atherosclerosis is hardened fat buildup in the arteries. Symptoms: high blood pressure, pink or flush complexion, deep grooves across the nails, difficulty urinating, feeling very bloated, making faces at sour foods, viewing life as overwhelming, making or seeming to make little headway although working hard, and fussing over nothing. Drinking 2 to 4 cups of good mineral water and eating plenty of raw fat with most foods gradually corrects this problem. Frequently eating fresh raw coconut cream with unripe banana gradually dissolves hardened fats. Sometimes the body manifests muscle spasms to help increase circulation, and the dissolution and removal of hardened fat accumulations, for example, the muscle spasms experienced with angina pectoris. If spasms occur, it is best to sit, eat some unheated honey, and relax. Eating plenty of raw fat, especially coconut cream, with any of the following: unripe bananas, non-steamed dates, unripe melons, or unripe pineapple, helps to relieve the lactic acid buildup that causes muscle soreness. Athlete's foot is a fungus under and in the skin characterized by itchy, peeling skin that has a sour odor. I have found 2 basic causes for it: high adrenaline level or accumulated volatile toxins, including vaccines and antibiotics. Coffee, chocolate, cooked soups, cooked teas, and cooked meat create volatile toxic conditions in most people, as well as overstimulate adrenals, causing decay to cells. The fungus tries to help by eating decaying cells or the decaying parts of cells. Avoiding those foods and all medications usually stops a tendency to produce foot fungi. However, as long as toxins remain in the area causing the decay, the fungus will continue to do its job unless it is poisoned by medication. Eating foods that alkalize minimizes discomfort. Letting fungus run its course increases health, but if that is not possible, coating the feet with unheated honey and covering them with clean white cotton socks for 4 consecutive nights smother and stops fungus for a while. Backache. There are many causes for this, from spinal detoxification and tension to accidents. Often backaches happen in conjunction with emotional exhaustion. Drinking plenty of raw milk, a little good mineral water, and when available, plenty of raw cream help relax the spine. During a backache, eating several smoothies daily with 2 to 3 raw eggs, 1/4 cup unheated honey, either 2 tablespoons unsalted raw butter or 5 tablespoons raw cream or coconut cream, and either a 1/2 to 1 cup unripe papaya or unripe banana helps remove toxicity and soreness. Eating non-steamed dates or pineapple helps remove soreness. Eating no salt-added raw cheeses with equal amounts of fat, especially raw butter, helps strengthen the back. Note, eating too many papayas can cause intense back detoxification and therefore too much pain. Hot baths and very gentle back massages are helpful. Lying on one side and applying a hot water bottle propped between your spine and a pillow helps speed circulation and nutrients to the affected area, relaxing muscles and taking pressure off nerves, especially while sleeping. Also, enjoying oneself speeds healing. Bacterial food poisoning. The cause of disease is caused by cooked or processed food. The belief that raw food causes bacterial food poisoning is non-scientific myth and hysteria. All epidemic food poisoning that has occurred was caused by bacteria feeding on cooked food. The bacteria feeding on cooked and or chemically treated food develops disease and mutates. The mutant disease bacteria excrete volatile toxins that cause poisoning that result in vomit and or diarrhea and intestinal damage, including decay. The Jack-in-the-Box epidemic was caused by cooked meat, not raw meat. No one ate any of those burgers raw. For bacterial food poisoning data regarding pasteurized milk products, see Chapter 31. Infant safety, health benefits, propagandize false risks from feeding raw milk, and the harm of feeding infants pasteurized and processed milk in my book, The Recipe for Living Without Disease. Symptoms: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, high blood pressure, abnormal fatigue, dizziness, mental depression, and loss of appetite. The myth that raw foods cause bacterial disease was ingrained in a society when two giant food manufacturers paid fortunes in research from 1928 to 1938 to prove that bacteria in food causes disease. They wanted to prove that their cooked and processed foods were cleaner, healthier, and safer than raw foods. Animals were separated into two groups. Several groups were fed raw food and others were fed cooked, processed food. The company's officers released to the press the conclusion based on mere speculation and belief that the theory that bacteria in raw food caused disease. When the long-term results of that research proved that the raw food-fed groups did not develop any disease and that the cooked, processed-fed groups developed most of the diseases that humans suffer, the two companies burned all of the research and hid the results from the public in 1940. And he's got a footnote here. That information was reported to me in 1975 in Louisiana at the home of one of the retired scientists who worked on the project at one of the companies. He stated that he felt great remorse for not coming forward to contest the propaganda. He did not because he feared for the life of his family. What do you think about that?
Excuse me.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
What do you think about that?
I don't know, man.
Possibly.
Which part? Oh, that last part, yeah.
Yeah. Former scientist who released that info.
Former? Did they whack them? Is that why they're a former scientist, or did they just lose their job?
Oh, it said retired.
Oh. I don't know.
Okay, so only bacteria feeding on cooked, non-organic foods are likely to turn pathogenic. E. coli feeds rapidly on frozen meat, but is not dangerous if eaten raw. The worst that could happen from eating raw meat with a high bacteria count is vomit or diarrhea, yet that response is very rare and not from poisoning. Instead, it is a radical detoxification of the liver, pancreas, or intestines. The toxins are potentially damaging, and so the body must flush them quickly. That's interesting. Eating raw food, including raw meats, with or without high bacterial counts, has proved to promote good health and not cause disease in humans. Balding is the rapid or gradual loss of hair growth, usually occurring from metal poisoning from canned foods, aluminum cooking utensils, deodorants, shampoos, soaps, and medication. Poor oxygen utilization is sometimes causative. It is also believed that poor thyroid function is causative, but my experiments disprove that theory. Eating raw berries with raw coconut cream, a little unsalted raw butter, and a little raw cream helps bind with the metals so that they do not cause as much damage to follicles. Topically, rubbing into the scalp a blended mixture of 1 ounce fresh raw aloe vera gel directly from the inside of the leaf and 2 ounces never been heated above 96 degrees Fahrenheit fermented coconut oil helps protect the scalp and follicles. That usually stops hair loss and sometimes promotes hair growth within several weeks unless you have an allergy to shampoo. Drinking naturally carbonated waters helps oxygen absorption. Drinking some parsley juice with celery juice helps oxygen absorption. Eating non-steamed dates helps thyroid functions. Eating 2 ounces of stone-pressed olive oil with meat 3 times each week helps remove dead cells in and around follicles. A good shampoo is whipped raw egg. Wet hair, apply and rub whipped raw egg to hair and scalp. Let stand for 1 to 5 minutes and rinse. That's good, useful. Right?
Yeah, dude. And the hair loss stuff?
Yeah, but whipped raw egg for shampoo?
Yeah.
I've never heard that, but I mean that's
pure aminos.
Yeah, I know. That's easily obtainable.
And the quality doesn't have to be quite so good as a raw egg you would eat because it's just going on the skin.
Sure.
On the scalp.
Right. Uh-huh. And even if the quality wasn't as good, it'd be better than any shampoo you could buy, probably.
Oh, yeah. Hey, have you heard of the no poo movement?
No.
It's
yeah, I know you don't need shampoo. I know that. Yeah, you don't even need. You just need like a good soap to wash your head. I mean, you don't even need shampoo though.
Yeah, and that not even like, daily.
Yeah, you could just get like some castor soap though or something and wash yourself.
Oh, you mean Castile?
Yeah, Castile, right? Yeah, I was thinking I got that mixed up with castor oil. Yeah, Castile, yeah.
You just better dilute that stuff. It'll dry your hair out. Pure Castile soap.
Right. No, I know. Yeah. Okay, so bedwetting is the inability to control the bladder during sleep because of nutrient losses during stressful waking hours, usually when toxic blood conditions exist. Blood sugar problems are commonly causative, such as in childhood diabetes. Drinking the combination of 3 ounces fresh raw cabbage juice, 2 ounces fresh raw cucumber juice, 2 ounces fresh raw carrot juice, 2 ounces fresh raw parsley juice, and 3 tablespoons unheated honey supplies nutrients for nerves and bladder control. Drinking that juice combination once early in the day, every 3rd day, and eating unsalted raw cheeses, raw eggs blended with unripe banana or other appealing unripe fruit, raw fish and celery daily usually corrects this condition within several weeks. Bell's palsy is paralysis of some facial muscles resulting from facial nerve damage. This is most often due to excess adrenaline produced from toxic diets and or environmental pollution. When adrenaline utilizes all of the blood fat, it seeks other fats. For example, adrenaline may eat at the nerve coatings, the myelin, and leach fat from the myelin. The result is neural lesions and scarring. Eating the nut formula every other day or very small amounts of cooked starch with plenty of raw fats, especially avocado, unsalted raw butter, or raw cream, helps neutralize excess adrenaline and prevents nerve damage. Eating raw fish with raw red meat or with raw poultry helps heal and restore nerves and replenish myelin. Beriberi is a form of severe malnutrition. Correcting beriberi requires adherence to a well-balanced dietary regime for a long time. Symptoms in adults: appetite and weight loss, diarrhea, edema, fatigue, heart failure, nerve dysfunction causing paralysis and wasting of limbs. In children, abdominal discomfort, constipation or diarrhea, nausea, respiratory difficulties, and vomiting. Eating plenty of tomatoes with raw mushrooms, some fresh whole raw parsley in the late afternoon with a little French bread with plenty of avocado, 3 ounces unheated honey each day, and raw milk when available, helps detoxify the digestive system in preparation for handling a balanced diet. Bitot spots are white, foamy elevations on the whites of the eyes. Drinking raw, fresh parsley juice helps to prevent and correct this condition. Parsley juice should be consumed with celery and can be combined with a mixture of other juices to make it palatable. A drop of filtered fresh parsley juice dropped in the eyes is helpful to reverse this condition. A balanced, healthy diet, such as this Primal diet, helps remove toxins and rebuild the eyes. Bladder infection is a detoxification of the urinary bladder characterized by pain in the lower abdomen and back, sometimes fever, and an urgent, most often painful, frequent need to urinate. Drinking raw, fresh grapefruit juice throughout the day and eating the butter-honey mixture every half hour for as long as it takes to calm the bladder, relieve bladder infections. For people prone to bladder infections, drinking 4 ounces of raw, fresh beet juice twice weekly, or 4 ounces fresh raw lime juice blended with 2 tablespoons unheated honey, added to 4 ounces of good mineral water, keeps bacteria levels low and helps detoxify the bladder a little every day so that discomforting, exorbitant infection is rarely, if ever, necessary. Blood pressure. High blood pressure. Fresh raw grapefruit or fresh raw grapefruit juice lowers blood pressure. 1/2 of a grapefruit may be adequate, but some people may need more. Eating raw cucumbers or fresh raw cucumber juice helps soothe stretched arteries, veins, capillaries, and nerves. Eating fresh raw garlic helps stabilize high or low blood pressure. High blood pressure is the body's method of stretching, cleaning, and healing congested arteries and veins. Unlike what is said in the media and portrayed on television, many heart attacks occur during times of low blood pressure and low cholesterol levels. High blood pressure is necessary to vital arterial health when blood passages are congested from overweight or hardened arteries and veins. I suggest that high blood pressure should not be suppressed with drugs. That's some good information. Low blood pressure. Fresh raw garlic or fresh raw onions or fresh raw hot peppers helps raise blood pressure. A small amount of any of those is usually adequate, although some people will need to eat up substantial amounts. Body odor indicates that putrid gases have formed inside the body by toxic chemical changes or by eating foods with strong odors. For instance, garlic or broccoli. Avoiding foods that can easily putrefy in your body, cooked and or processed foods, eliminates body odor. Putrid gases produced by the body when dissolving and eliminating old toxic storages can be eliminated, or at least mitigated, by eating fresh raw parsley or ginger or peppermint or spearmint or fresh raw juice from any of them. Celery juice and unripe pineapple relieves foul body odor. Brittle bones is a condition of the bones where there is little or no flexibility. It is caused by a lack of utilizable fat and other nutrients as a result of a fat deficiency. Symptoms: fear of jumping short heights and easily breaking bones. Drinking fresh, full-fat raw milk gradually corrects this problem. If raw milk isn't available, eating 4 ounces fresh raw organic carrot juice with avocado or with unsalted raw butter or with another raw fat daily will be effective but may take a little longer. Eating fresh and unfrozen organic bone marrow with raw beef speeds healing. The texture and taste of beef bone marrow is similar to butter. It is best eaten with a raw meat meal. It may be made as part of a meat sauce. Broken bone. Make sure bone is properly set for healing. Unripe pineapple has enzymes that help heal bone. Eating a half unripe pineapple each day for 1 week and then every 3rd day for 5 more weeks works the best, especially in conjunction with a balanced raw diet and the foods recommended for brittle bones. Wish I would have known that with my mom.
Is she still healing, or is it past that stage now?
I mean, she's still healing, but it's been way longer than that. Like, it's probably already past that point.
Well, bone's not dead tissue. I mean, it can change shape over time, even if it's already healed up. So
that's true, yeah. I had her taking molasses, too, because I thought it was good. I just told her today, I'm like, yeah, you need to stop taking that. Anyway, bronchitis is an inflammation or cleanse of the air passages to the lungs because of toxin-damaged bronchial cells. It is exacerbated by suppression of what needs to be said, that is, suppressed emotions turned against oneself. The resultant tension in the chest is often secondarily causative because it spends fat in the bronchi, drying them. It is then difficult to produce protective mucus, and the bronchi become susceptible to irritation from airborne substances. Symptoms: back and muscle pains, sore throat, dry coughs that are followed by coughing up mucus. Finding a form of artistic expression that suits a person's nature begins a more expansive approach to life and health. Eating raw fats, especially unsalted raw butter, raw cream, and raw eggs, soothes this condition. Drinking fresh raw carrot juice mixed with raw cream or raw eggs soothes and nourishes the bronchi very quickly. Smoking and other airborne pollution worsen this condition. Okay, hold on. I got to plug something in real quick.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Bruise. Bruise is ruptured veins and cells causing internal bleeding in small or large damaged areas of the body that turn black or blue. As the blood in the tissues is dissolved, absorbed, or excreted, the bruised area turns yellow and finally clears to normal. Applying a thin slice of raw beef to a bruise for at least 5 hours and up to 24 hours helps soothe, reduce swelling, and speed healing. If a large area is bruised, like a foot, you may apply ground beef. Thinly pack the area with sliced or ground red meat and cover with a sock or bandage. Eating raw eggs blended with unripe banana or unripe pineapple helps clear damaged cells and toxicity from injury. Eating raw meat helps heal and replace damaged cells. That's interesting. I've never heard to do that for a bruise. Put some raw meat on it.
Yeah, it's a meat poultice.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's a dead animal poultice.
All right, burns. Eating avocados and fresh raw aloe vera gel directly from the leaf for several days helps soothe burn cells and eliminate scars. For sunburn, topically apply the Primal facial body care cream from the book The Recipe for Living Without Disease, or make a mixture by stirring 2 tablespoons fresh raw aloe gel, best taken directly from leaf, 1/6 teaspoon fresh royal jelly, 1/4 teaspoon sun-dried powdered clay, and 1 teaspoon stone-pressed olive oil, or simply apply raw egg white to sunburn. Any of those will often make sunburn disappear magically. They quickly soothe and heal other first-degree burns. They increase relief and healing to second-degree burns. Another remedy for sunburn is to bathe as soon as possible in a bath with at least 1 cup of raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar and, if available, 2 cups raw milk stirred into the bath water. Then very gently rub plain raw kefir, raw milk, or egg white into sunburn every 2 to 6 hours and let it stay on the skin. That soothes the skin and relieves pain. Second and third degree or deeper burn or abrasion may be quickly healed without skin grafts. First, remove as much burn tissue or dirt-filled abrasion as possible and apply a thin layer of unheated honey over burn or abrasion. That may cause 2 to 5 minutes of intense stinging. Over the layer of unheated honey, apply a thin slice of raw beef and cover with a damp cotton cloth to prevent the meat from drying quickly. Then wrap a bandage to hold the meat and damp cloth in place. Remove the dressing and reapply the same way every 24 hours for 2 days. On the third day, eliminate the honey layer and continue to apply raw beef, damp cloth, and bandage every 24 hours for at least 14 days. If pus appears in areas, clean those areas before reapplying the layers. Do not let the wound dry between applications. Usually, if a person has been following the Primal diet for 2 or more years, a third degree or deeper burn or abrasion will heal in approximately 3 to 4 weeks. If a person has recently begun eating the diet, it may take as long as 4 to 6 weeks to completely heal a serious third-degree burn or abrasion. James has been on the diet approximately 6 years when he was in a truck accident. His skin was scraped from his right wrist to nearly his shoulder. The abrasion was deep enough to expose his muscles and in some areas his tendons. He instinctively designed and utilized the procedures in the above paragraph for 14 days. In 14 days, his body completely refilled the abrasion with healthy live cells without skin grafts. After 3 weeks, I witnessed that the abrasion looked as if it had never occurred. The skin looked slightly pinkish at the spot that had been scraped deepest. There was no scar whatsoever. That proved to me that medical treatment for burns and abrasions was harmful, disfiguring, physically and psychologically crippling, expensive, and in many serious cases caused long-term pain from skin grafts and scars. That's very interesting there. Healing third-degree burns by putting some raw meat on it.
Hey, as long as it's not like a skin graft where you're going to have cow fur growing out of your burn spot.
Yeah.
That's muscle, though.
That's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking that my mom might have to do. She might have to have more surgery here.
Yeah.
Because the part that they're worried about, supposedly there's no tendon or anything there anymore. So they're kind of waiting to see what they're going to do, but they might have to do a skin graft, muscle graft, whatever. So
yeah, well, do whatever you can to avoid it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think my mom would go for raw meat on her. She wouldn't go for that.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her what it is. Just put it on her while she's asleep.
Well, she's wearing like a cast though. It's like a full. I got a magnet for her in there at least.
That's good.
He sets drawing blood to the area.
Mm-hmm.
Nutrients, blood, whatever. That's probably as good as it's going to get on terms of that. She put that in her cast. I mean, that's good. Puts in there all the time. Okay, let's see. Bursitis is an inflammation of the sacs or bursas that lubricate joints, muscles, tendons, and bronchi. Symptoms: swelling and tenderness of the hip, shoulder, elbows, or feet. Symptoms during infection: extreme tenderness and sharp, severe localized pain. During inflammation, eating beef with avocado at least twice daily soothes the condition. Eating small amounts of food more often is better unless you have a healthy appetite. Consuming the drink for moisturizing lubrication after meat meals speeds healing of bursitis. Adding 1 tablespoon of bee pollen to that drink and eating 1 to 2 tablespoons of no salt added raw cheese with the drink helps relieve pain quicker and for longer periods. Drinking live orange, lemon, or lime juices no sooner than 2 hours after eating meat and avocado mitigates detoxification and alkalizes blood and lymph. Waiting at least 1 hour after drinking citrus juice before eating beef is better for digestion. Cancer. Cancer is basically the body's inability to discard dead cells. The body gathers those cells in a particular area called a tumor until it can later dissolve those cells. Whether before or after a tumor forms, dead and degeneratively toxic cells must be dissolved and neutralized. Then the waste must be excreted and secreted. The body has 2 basic methods for dissolving those cells. The body's natural and first choice is the action of bacteria, parasites, and/or fungi. Its second choice seems to be through the action of viruses. Bacteria, parasites, and fungi can consume degenerated or dead cells quickly, and the volume of the waste products produced by their cleansing action constitutes a mere fraction of the volume of the original toxic cells. It is then relatively easy for our bodies to eliminate that waste. The opposite is true with the action of viruses because viruses are crystalline solvents manufactured within poisonous toxic cells. The waste from viruses is magnified and grossly distributed throughout the body. Here I will explain why the body develops and employs viruses. Poisonously degenerative cells often kill bacteria, parasites, and fungi. When that occurs, our bodies no longer have the preferred assistance of those helpful agents in dissolving toxically sick or dead cells for elimination. Resultingly, our bodies resort to manufacturing viruses to do that job. Unlike the reduction of waste produced by bacteria, parasites, and fungi, the waste produced by viruses increases because viruses utilize volumes of H2O to dissolve and dilute dead and degenerative cells. That grossly toxic wastewater contaminates the various circulatory systems, the blood, nervous, and lymphatic, spreading the toxicity throughout the body. The actions of bacteria, parasites, and fungi are always the most natural and preferred methods used by the body to detoxify dead and degenerative cells. That's some vital information.
Mm-hmm.
When our bodies are overly contaminated with pollution and too deficient in vital nutrients, bacteria, parasites, fungi, nor viruses can dissolve all the dead and degenerative cells. So our bodies must embalm those cells and contain them. First, the embalmed cells are dispersed throughout our bodies, intermixed with live cells, sometimes creating thick fibroids. When our bodies reach the limit of their ability to tolerate so much dispersed dead cell structure, our bodies must construct tumors to contain the embalmed or dead cells. Building tumors is a means of isolating dead cells into a localized area so that the dead cells will have less impact on the functions of living tissue and bodily functions. Tumors are built as benign or malignant. In the case of malignant tumors, our bodies sparsely intermix live young mutated cells with many times more of the embalmed cells. The young mutated cells are phenomenally designed to produce and contain potent solvents within themselves. These young mutated cells have been termed by medicine as, quote, cancer cells. In the case of benign tumors, our bodies do not incorporate those young mutated cells that produce and contain solvents. The difference, then, between benign and malignant tumors is dramatic. Our bodies, with the help of those young mutated cancer cells, can dissolve tumors rapidly, in 2 days to 5 years, depending on the size and number of tumors. Without the help of cancer cells and benign tumors, Most often, our bodies must manufacture extracellular solvents to dissolve those benign tumors from the outer edges inward slowly. Often, that can take from 5 to 40 years or never if our bodies do not receive proper nutrients. Therefore, idealistically, malignant tumors are preferable to benign tumors as long as our bodies receive enough nutrients to neutralize and eliminate the tremendous amount of acrid waste that results from the quick dissolution of malignant tumors. If our bodies cannot neutralize that acrid waste, the waste will injure, damage, and dissolve adjacent living cells, such as in the case of an open cancerous lesion or lesion that grows and stinks. I think Ogenus has the best theory on cancer I've ever read. Like, seriously, it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, plus he's coming at it from a pleomorphism theory viewpoint.
Yeah,
So.
Yep. So basically, it's your body's accumulation of dead cells and its inability to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, requires fat to get rid of. So it basically is a fat deficiency.
It's just another healing crisis. Just like a fever or a flu or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Just more severe and inflamed and advanced.
Yeah. So he says, according to the conclusions of Dr. Harbin B. Jones, emeritus professor from University of California, Berkeley, cancer is like the flu. Let it run its course, and 76% of the time it will reverse itself, even if you do not improve your diet or lifestyle. Now that is very important information there. He made that statement in 1972 when we were less inundated with carcinogens. Nowadays, we may have to change our diets and lifestyles to reverse cancers.
Yeah, I was going to say, if your diet's causing it, not changing it's going to, I don't know, I wouldn't risk just, letting the forest fire burn without...
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I would do that before I'd go get radiation therapy.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's what I mean.
Chemo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to do anything, just don't do anything, but don't go get chemo, is what I'm saying. Because your chances will probably still be better than if you go get chemo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll probably have a less painful death if you do end up dying. So Dr. Jones said that although you may temporarily stop cancer, we cannot heal the body with medical treatments for cancer. He testified before the Congress that medical treatments were dangerous and always harmful long term. There are 3 factors to address when eliminating and healing cancers. The first is to stop eating cooked, processed, and contaminated food that weakens or kills cells with toxicity and debris. Avoiding fried foods is imperative because so many active and volatile toxins are byproducts of frying. The second is to fill the blood and body with raw fats that will dissolve and bind with dead cells and carry them from the body, or at least will neutralize toxicity so that tumors will cease to grow. A very high blood cholesterol level between 250 to 400 made of raw fats is almost always necessary. The third is to dissolve tumorous tissue as safely as possible by eating fresh raw citrus or other fruit that is appealing. However, if the tumor has broken the skin and is festering, it is already in the process of dissolving too rapidly. In such a situation, restricting fruit and consuming large quantities of honey would be best to reduce acidity. Following a balanced raw diet is suggested in the book The Recipe for Living Without Disease, chapters 8 to 12, has helped hundreds of people develop a high rate of cancer reversal if the cancer has not broken the skin. The lowest reversal rate for cancer on the Primal diet for people who did not receive any medical treatments has been approximately 90% for all cancers except lung and esophageal. The reversal rate for lung and esophageal cancers has been approximately 60% without any medical treatments. With medical treatments, sadly, reversal rates decrease astoundingly. To reverse cancer, the best results have been obtained by keeping the diet simple, even though at times it is monotonous. The exceptions were in cases that involved cirrhosis of tissues. Then the diet had to be more complex. Usually, indications of reversal were achieved within 3 months of beginning the diet. Some cases took as long as 30 months. They were 4 cases of breast cancer. Only 1 of 239 cases did not achieve indications of reversal. Of those 239 cases, 223 have survived. 14 of those who died were malnourished and very thin. They either refused to eat because of nausea or were unable to eat enough because of pain medication that destroyed their appetites and or made them nauseous. Vomit is a very healthy aspect of cancer reversal in many instances. Vomit indicates that toxins dump into the stomach and our bodies want to expel them immediately. As I mentioned, Awanza intermittently vomited up to 11 times daily for up to a 5-week cycle. She recovered from 63 tumors. It took her 11 years. She is living and happy to this day, 24 years later. Wow. Raw fats, including some oils, are tantamount for eliminating cancers and should be 30 to 45% of caloric intake. Raw dairy products are very soothing to cancerous conditions, especially raw cream and unsalted raw butter. Although fats are 80% responsible for eliminating the accumulated dead cells that cause cancer, fats do not work alone. Protein, unripe fruit, and green vegetable juices are essential catalysts. Eating fatty raw ground beef and raw unripe oranges or fresh raw unripe orange juice, but not meat and oranges at the same meal, have brought about excellent results toward healing, as well as detoxifying cancers that have not broken the skin. Unripe pineapple or any unripe fruit that is appealing can often be substituted for orange. For some people, drinking fresh raw vegetable juices may be more healing than oranges. If experiencing anxiety, eating raw fish then with whipped raw cream acts as a calmative. Also, consuming the nut formula twice weekly helps to calm anxiety. If those are not immediately available, eating raw fish with a little cooked starch and raw butter, or with avocado or with another raw fat or raw oil works as a calmative. In one case, breast cancer continued to advance to the point it broke the skin, becoming overly acidic. I suggested an alkaline raw milk diet for 3 days with extra raw cream and unheated honey. Also, I suggested fresh raw green vegetable juices. The patient became severely painful, unable to move. Her voice quivered from intensity of pain. Prior to that dietary experiment, her pain had been isolated mainly to the chest and arm. Afterward, the pain moved to her back and then all over her body. I suggested that she immediately resume eating the normal Primal diet suggestions for cancer, and her pain mitigated within hours. Through circulation, the body gets its nutrients. Swimming or gentle movement on a regular or daily basis increases circulation to cancer-congested areas of the body. Applying heat to tumorous areas with a hot water bottle helps blood and lymph circulate to those areas, and once there, to cleanse and heal. Electrical heating pads emit electromagnetic fields that can interfere with neural functions and healing. For health's sake, have some fun on a regular basis, even if you have to work at it at first. Focusing on the positive, even if it's fantasy, promotes creativity, satisfaction, and well-being. Sex is good fun and is good exercise as long as it is not accompanied with anxiety. Tomatoes contain lycopene that shrinks tumors, including prostate cancer, in cases when tumors have not broken skin. Awanza discovered that eating 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed below 96 degrees Fahrenheit flaxseed oil each day helps prevent tumor development. I noticed that she drank 2 ounces of fresh raw lemon juice blended with 2 ounces of unheated honey and mixed with 4 ounces of naturally sparkling water 3 to 4 days weekly. None of her cancers broke the skin. Remember, cancers that break skin are already too intensely dissolving tumors. So the object with those cancers is to slow the dissolution process by alkalizing the body with non-acidic and non-detoxifying foods. That eliminates oils and reduces fruit consumption. Along with what is suggested above, full-fat raw milk is very helpful for people who have cancer in and around the spine. I suggest adding 3 to 4 tablespoons raw cream and 2 tablespoons unheated honey to each quart of milk for spinal problems, including cancer. For cancers in the groin area, such as prostate and lymph, eating raw fish with a nut formula or a little cooked potato, as well as all that is suggested above, can be more effective. It has been Awanza's experience that breast cancer in people who have consumed aspirin, other medications, and food additives and preservatives or have been exposed to toxic chemicals for many years requires surgical removal. I have not yet come to that conclusion, even though I know that in many people, certain chemicals like the compounds in aspirin turn some cells into cement. It is sometimes impossible to dissolve those cells to removable substances. Unlike most tumorous tissues, cement-like cells cannot be dissolved and eliminated by the body. That's good information.
Not at all good news, though.
I was going to say, your dad's taking aspirin, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm worried.
Yeah, you better tell him to get off that ASAP.
For real.
Better tell him to eat lots of fat and get off that.
Yes.
I have lost only 2 clients to breast cancer who refused surgery. One was in her 60s and was 135 pounds overweight. For a period of 43 years, she had consumed several bottles of aspirin each week for headaches. As soon as she began the Primal diet, her headaches stopped and never returned, and her weight normalized within 4.5 years. But her breast cancer could not be stopped because of 43 years of accumulated cemented cells. When she died, her chest was overgrown with tumorous sores. The other client was in her 40s and in advanced stages by the time she came to me. She was consuming appetite-suppressing dosages of morphine for pain. After 4 months of eating as much as she could of what I suggested, her tumors began to dissolve by more than 35%. But she could not eat enough to get strong enough. The one client who Awanza lost to breast cancer was in her late 30s when she died. She was raised and played next to a farm where the crops were dusted with pesticides. A biopsy done and specifically analyzed for toxic substances that occur in many pesticides showed a very dense ratio of those compounds. It had been about 18 years since she had lived on that farm. Another client I lost to cancer, not breast, was in her 70s and would not stop taking chemotherapy. She went into a coma on the colonic table. I cautioned her about chemotherapy and colonics. She was the first and last cancer sufferer I accepted as a client who took chemotherapy and radiation during the experimental period where over 3,000 people tired the effectiveness of my Primal diet, 1984 to 2005. Chemo and radiation therapies are toxic and cause cellular genocide, amassing dead cells that are likely to be built into tumors throughout the body, metastasis, usually within 7 years of treatment. When cancer occurs in an individual who has progressed cirrhosis of tissues throughout his or her body or in one or more areas, it indicates that tissues are unnaturally polluted with compounds that cannot be easily eliminated. If the body were to dissolve those tissues, cells, the byproducts could be so poisonous that the body's systems could be severely damaged or the person could suffer anaphylaxis. Under such conditions, cancer remission has been questionable and reversal or cure has remained doubtful. That is often the case in cancers that have broken the skin. However, 2 such cases surprised me after 6 years by at least beginning to dissolve hardened tissues and creating soft new tissue. Bone deterioration that is sometimes found in conjunction with some cancers is not directly part of the cancerous process, the process of containing tumor and then dissolving dead cells. Bone deterioration results from a severe fat and mineral deficiency that is exacerbated in cancerous cases. In those cases, the body leaches minerals and fat from bones to facilitate the isolation and neutralization of the waste from dissolved cells. Eating unsalted raw cheese with unsalted raw butter or other raw fat and raw ocean fish, especially raw scallops, oysters, clams, and urchin, supplies fats and concentrated minerals so that the body does not have to leach them from bone. So that's probably the most informative thing on cancer I've ever read.
Yep.
But it seems like it's mainly a fat and cholesterol deficiency. Fat is what eliminates the dead cells.
You call it a deficiency. It could be called starvation.
Yeah.
Fat and cholesterol starvation.
Yep.
Because it's chronic.
Which is basically just starvation in general. So pretty much, it's like Gaeta says, pretty much everybody's starving even though they're eating all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why it's so scary, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're getting something in, your hunger goes away for however many hours, you know? So people can go for decades, maybe their whole life, not realizing that they're starving for this nutrient or that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But it's also interesting how he talked about how you have to eat a lot to get better.
Yeah.
Find that. So fasting's probably out of the question if you find out you have cancer. Probably something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It'll probably actually kill you faster if you do that. I think Gerson, I have his book on cancer too. I read that a while ago, the Gerson therapy. I think he said that as well. He said that fasting will kill you faster if you're on. He said you never want to fast if you have cancer. Your body's already basically deficient in nutrients, which is what caused cancer to begin with. So I think Mogenous' diet might be more effective though than Gerson's. Because Gerson was advocating the whole, basically just vegetables, you know.
Yeah, we don't have time for vegetables. We got to eat fat and meat.
Yeah.
That's just roughage in the way.
Yeah, his method was eating lots of vegetables and doing lots of enemas.
I'm not doing that.
Have you ever done an enema before? I've never done an enema.
And I don't think I ever will unless it's a life-saving necessity, which I don't believe it would be.
Yeah, I think Ogenus would probably. I've heard that's another area where you read conflicting things. Some people say it's good, other people say it's really not good.
Well, it's one of those subliminally suicidal leftist vegan practices. I mean, anyone whose brain hasn't been shut down from fat starvation knows intuitively not to stick anything up that end of their body. That's the waste exhaust port, not the input port for nutrients. You know?
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Candida. is a yeast-like condition, detoxification, that eats little stagnant pools of blood that result from internal lesions caused by dryness and cracking of the tissues within the body. Candida fungus cleans the system by eating degenerative tissues damaged by accumulated cooked carbohydrate-based adrenaline or insulin-related chemicals. Candida is healthful and should have its cycle. The worst thing anyone can do if he or she wants to improve his or her health is to destroy Candida. Dude, I've never heard this before.
Smoking. Even though 5 to 6 years too late. I've done a claim before.
Smoking puts a person at higher risk of developing Candida. If a person has a high adrenaline level and drinks alcohol, he or she is putting herself at great risk of developing Candida. Symptoms: a somewhat pallid complexion, sensitive and swollen extremities, dry skin, extreme lethargy, critical attitude, a general dislike for people, and a tendency toward isolation. Soft drinks with caffeine, salt, alcohol, smoke, coffee, teas, and aspirin are all poisonous because they overstimulate the adrenals and pancreas, causing excess adrenaline and insulin that spends fat, creating the dryness that causes lesions, the storage of volatile toxins in tissues, and disturbing blood sugar levels. So aspirin was in there.
All that was aspirin? The antisocial stuff?
No. It said soft drinks with caffeine, salt, alcohol, smoke, coffee, teas, and aspirin.
Oh, yeah, that
are all poisonous because they overstimulate the adrenals and pancreas, causing excess adrenaline and insulin that spends fat. Yeah. When experiencing extreme symptoms, eating half of a nut formula once daily in the afternoon for 3 days helps remove toxic adrenaline and insulin. Eating a raw diet with cooked starch in combination with plenty of raw fat eliminates high adrenaline and insulin levels. Eating raw tomatoes, fresh or non-steamed, unsulfured, sun-dried figs, fresh raw green vegetables, vegetable juices, raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar, and fresh unripe pineapple neutralizes and soothes the condition over a period of years. Eating raw fish or organic raw chicken or turkey helps heal and restore damaged and dead nerve tissue and skin. Raw beef and other red meat may be eaten when the condition is neutralized enough. A sign that a person is too toxic to eat beef is severe itching and irritability accompanied with nausea after eating beef. Drinking the freshest raw juice of one yam once every 4 days helps produce hormones that reduce the swelling and soreness in the joints as a result of candida. Yam juice should be consumed within 10 minutes after juicing. To re-lubricate the joints and body, I suggest daily consuming the drink for moisturizing and lubrication, page 210, but made with only 1 to 3 teaspoons of fresh raw lemon juice. To temporarily reduce rampant candida, I suggest that you blend 4 tablespoons fresh lime juice, 1 to 2 tablespoons unheated honey, and 1 to 2 tablespoons raw and pasteurized apple cider vinegar together. Add that to 4 ounces of naturally sparkling water and drink 2 ounces every 4 hours for no more than 3 consecutive days. In some individuals, that may cause increased symptoms for the several days, but ultimately it reduces candida proliferation. Canker sore is an open sore on the mouth that usually burns and tingles. Topically, it is best not to apply anything. Cankers heal best when left to air. Sometimes, though, the burning and sensitivity can be too much. Applying a thin layer of unheated honey soothes this condition. Carbuncles are deep, pus-filled infections under the skin. Topically, make a poultice with 1 tablespoon powdered mustard seeds, 1/4 teaspoon powdered sun-dried clay, 2 drops of royal jelly, optional, and 1 ounce of good mineral water. Applying it to the carbuncle and surrounding area and letting the poultice remain on for 80 to 90 minutes once or twice daily until it subsides, attracts, and absorbs toxins and soothes the tissues. Cataracts are the collection of organic waste clouding the cornea and or crystalline lens of the eye. Most blindness is a result of cataracts. Cataracts are usually found in hyperactive individuals with high adrenaline levels who constantly exhaust blood and body fat levels, or in diabetics as a result of improperly assimilated sugars and medicinal insulin. Their eyes are completely deprived of certain utilizable fats. The body can't clean debris from the eyes properly and cataracts form. Consuming 1 to 3 tablespoons of stone-pressed olive oil every day for the rest of a person's life stops further development of cataracts and sometimes reverses cataracts. Eating plenty of raw fat and the foods suggested in alkalizing food soothes the overall toxic condition of the body due to excess adrenaline. Eating raw salmon several times weekly and drinking a combination of 2 ounces carrot juice and 2 ounces beet juice 3 to 4 days weekly speeds healing. Celiac disease is said to be the inability to digest gluten. That is part fallacy. Most often, celiac is caused by the chemicals created from combining certain foods with foods containing gluten. I've never heard this before either. Symptoms: diarrhea, flatulence, abdominal pain, anemia, and weight loss. If a person with celiac avoids eating the following foods, cooked or raw, in combination with wheat or corn, celiac will usually be eliminated. Tomatoes, including catsup, strawberries, including jellies and jams, apples, including sauces and pies, pineapple, citrus, and apple cider vinegar. Starches are usually necessary for people with celiac disease. Therefore, eating a nut formula at least twice weekly usually prevents extreme anxiety. However, if the nut formula does not satisfy starch cravings or settle extreme anxiety, try eating bread or pasta made with refined, unbleached, non-fortified wheat. People with celiac may become extremely anxious without the nut formula or cooked gluten. When starch cravings strike and the nut formula fails, eating small amounts of breads with plenty of raw fat and avoiding the foods listed above in combination with breads usually resolve the problem. So that's very interesting. I've never heard that as being a cause of celiac, the combination of certain foods with gluten.
Nor I. I've heard of food combining for better digestion, but
yeah,
I hadn't heard
right.
of it causing, conditions like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I've heard from celiacs, people say it's either the gluten or they say it's the Roundup and the glyphosate that's being sprayed on the wheat.
Yeah.
But Ogenus here is saying something completely different.
I wouldn't rule out the glyphosate stuff, though.
No, I wouldn't. Well, I think that might cause issues, but whether that's actually causing, celiac in total, I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if it's what Ogenus is saying.
Right. No, I agree. I'm just saying don't rule out the chemicals.
Oh, no, for sure. That's obviously having an effect, yeah.
I mean, I have worked in produce sections of a grocery store before, even an organic one, a health one, and the non-organic stuff that does have the chemicals, because I'm around that stuff so little, I'm sensitive to it, and I'll start itching or sneezing within minutes of touching it or opening a box that has that.
Yeah. Okay, so chicken pox is a viral detoxification in the lymph and skin, particularly detoxifying the nerve endings characterized by rashes, and is sometimes accompanied with headache and slight fever. The skin eruptions eventually break in fluid leaks, turning crusty. Usually the nerve damage results from metal toxicity. Raw hormone and antibiotic-free chicken eaten with avocados soothes, heals, and regenerates the tissues. Getting a lot of sleep is best. Eating the food suggested for fever eases discomfort. Eating fresh, raw, unripe pineapple or unripe banana with unheated honey relieves soreness. Eating raw eggs before sleep helps cleanse toxins from tissues. Cholesterol level, high and low. Cholesterol are necessary fatty-based substances that help fuel, for example, cholesterol needed for the body to develop sex and adrenal hormones, clean, lubricate, and protect the entire body. Cholesterol that the liver forms from raw fat or cholesterol that we consume in raw foods like meat, dairy, and coconut are all beneficial. It is necessary and desirable for our bodies to produce and consume cholesterol in large quantities. It is the cholesterol that the liver makes from cooked fat and cooked cholesterol we consume that is the problem. On a raw diet with plenty of raw fat, a high cholesterol level is wonderful and desirable, indicating that we are digesting, cleansing, lubricating, fueling, and protecting the body. In all cholesterol problems, whether high or low, there is a deficiency in utilizable blood fat, lacteal fat, and lymphatic fat. Usually those conditions are due to eating cooked oils, especially safflower, margarine, vegetable oils, and any hydrogenated oil. Those oils readily harden and crystallize, turning into rock-like substances, such as amber stone that was once tree oil. Eating plenty of raw fats like unsalted raw butter, raw eggs, raw cream, no salt added raw cheeses, fresh raw coconut, avocados, stone pressed or small amounts of below 96-degree pressed oils provide health-giving raw fats, making a high cholesterol level beneficial. Many years of eating those fats, raw meats, and fresh unripe pineapple will gradually remove stored cooked cholesterol or toxins from body tissues. Note that while a person detoxifies the stored toxic cholesterol, the blood cholesterol level soars because some toxic cholesterol enters the blood to be carried to the bowels and dumped there or through the skin. There is no cause for alarm. It is cause for celebration. That process rids the body of cellulite and other toxic fatty storages. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Crohn's disease is an inability to digest many cooked foods and the inability of the body to prevent undigested food from entering the blood, lymphatic, and nervous systems. When undigested food particles enter those systems, they cause extreme reactions such as painfully swollen and enlarged joints, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue. Most cooked grains and potatoes are poisonous in cases of Crohn's. Crohn's disease is usually caused by medicinal antibiotics, especially in infancy and childhood, and vaccines. When antibiotic and vaccine toxins enter the intestines, they destroy the healthy bacterial environment of the intestines. That chemical damage to intestines may reach as deeply as intestinal DNA, preventing the natural bacterial environment of the intestines from perpetuating digestive bacteria. In such a case, unless a raw food diet is continuously consumed, symptoms of Crohn's will persist throughout the entire life. Eating an all-raw food diet is vital to reversal and recovery. Raw animal products with their natural beneficial bacteria and enzymes have helped restore digestion in all cases, but did not completely reverse Crohn's in a few cases where chemicals had caused genetic damage to the intestines. Eating 1 to 2 cage-free raw eggs every 1 to 2 hours, followed by 1/4 teaspoon unheated honey for 3 to 5 days, usually restores some digestion. Then daily, adding early morning and evening raw meat meals, an afternoon raw custard, and 1 to 2 cups fresh raw celery juice, 4 ounces at a time, helps restore strength and bring life to normalcy. Chronic fatigue syndrome is an almost constant feeling of physical, emotional, and mental weariness. Often chronic fatigue syndrome is from not having the enzyme mutation to digest cooked green foods. Avoid cooked green foods. Eating raw meat 2 to 4 times daily on a balanced raw diet corrects this condition, sometimes quickly, but most often gradually. Cirrhosis of the liver is a condition of degeneration and hardening of the liver. Although it may not have been caused by the usual volatile toxic condition of excess hormone-related toxins, it is a volatile toxic condition usually accompanied by frequent nausea. Early symptoms: indigestion, diarrhea or constipation, fever, yellowish complexion, liver pain, and spasms. Progressed symptoms: anemia, edema, spider-shaped bruises, i.e. internal bleeding, and heaviness throughout the liver area. For those who experience extreme nausea, eating plenty of raw tomatoes or fresh raw tomato puree throughout each day for as many days as it takes to quiet nausea works best. After that, and for those who have lighter nausea, drinking the fresh juice from about 6 lemons, and at other times of the day, eating plenty of raw fat, especially raw eggs, with small amounts of cooked starches each day helps clean and tone the liver. Eating fresh raw coconut cream with cucumbers dissolves hardening the quickest. Healing the liver is a very long process because, similar to the heart, it is almost constantly working. Eating raw meat twice daily with raw fat also helps restore the liver and liver functions. Usually, eating unheated honey with every food that is consumed provides the liver with a supply of enzymes to make its work easier. Most often, it is vital that raw fruit or raw vegetable juice or unheated honey is eaten with raw fat. That is, because the liver's most complex task is preparing fat that will lubricate, clean, protect, and fuel the body. Raw fat, fruit, especially unripe fruit, raw vegetable juices, and unheated honey supply enzymes to make those processes as easy as possible. When lacking an appetite for any food, eating the butter-honey mixture satisfies the liver's frequent need for fresh nutrients. Eating a little live parsley helps cleanse the blood and liver and increases appetite. Eating a little live ginger helps liver functions and increases digestion and appetite. Nausea may occur frequently, accompanied by mild or extreme depression. Eating small amounts of no-salt added raw cheese with equal amounts of raw fat, raw fruit, and unheated honey throughout each day, and alternately eating raw tomatoes or raw lemon juice reduce nausea and depression. If the raw cheese with raw fat does not reduce nausea, try a little cooked starch with plenty of raw fat. Also, developing and enjoying a creative distraction is helpful. Colitis. This inflamed intestinal condition is medically diagnosed far too often among people with intestinal problems. Most often, I have found that people who are diagnosed with colitis have a poor intestinal environment and ineffective intestinal fluids. Colitis is caused by cooked food byproducts and chemicals, including household cleansers that contacted food absorbed through skin or inhaled. Early symptoms: abdominal cramps or pain and frequent diarrhea. Progressed symptoms: rectal bleeding. Eating raw fresh grapefruit juice, raw tomatoes or raw fresh tomato puree, and small amounts of no salt added raw cheese or cooked pasta with a raw fresh tomato sauce made with raw tomatoes and unsalted raw butter and or stone-pressed olive oil neutralizes volatile substances in intestinal walls and improves intestinal environment. As intestinal discomfort subsides, larger meals may be eaten. Pasteurized milk and its products of any kind can cause mild to severe intestinal discomfort. Drinking raw plain kefir when available or soured raw milk helps restore intestinal flora. Drinking raw milk that is not soured or pre-digested by kefir bacillus sometimes causes a problem with colitis. Eating the fresh raw gel from aloe vera plants is also very soothing to intestines. When volatile and ineffective fluid conditions have been corrected, colitis subsides. Then eating a smoothie made with eggs and unripe pineapple once daily helps to cleanse other toxins from intestines. If the combination of pineapple and eggs continually causes flatulence, eating them separately usually resolves the problem. Common cold is mainly a bacterial detoxification, yellow to clear mucus that is sometimes accompanied by fungi, green to clear mucus, and very little or no virus. Cold detoxification cleanses the respiratory system, connected lymphatic glands and nodes, and brain. Bacteria and fungi stir from hibernation to consume damaged, decaying, and dead cells. That is the natural function of bacteria and fungi in the human body. After they complete their natural function of consuming degenerated organic matter, our bodies enter an intense healing cycle, usually indicated by fever. When that is complete, our bodies have finished a cycle of improvements. Let colds run their course by supplying nutrients that best facilitates cleansing and healing. Symptoms: chills, cough, fever, headache, muscle soreness, nose and throat draining, sore throat, temporary loss of smell and taste, and watery eyes. Drinking a blend of 4 tablespoons raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar, juice of a half lemon, and 4 tablespoons of unheated honey the first thing in the morning helps neutralize toxins. Eating smoothies that are made by blending 2 to 3 raw eggs and 1.5 to 1 fresh raw unripe banana, or a half cup raw fresh orange juice helps the body make this detoxification through the mucous membranes easier. Unheated honey may be added if desired. Getting plenty of sleep allows the respiratory system to rest and clean, and if that means taking a day or 3 off work, all the better for excellent health. Eating the butter-honey mixture soothes membranes. Mixing and drinking 1 tablespoon grated raw horseradish root and 2 tablespoons fresh raw lemon juice helps thin mucus that is too thick to cough up. As soon as fever begins, taking warm baths relaxes us and stimulates perspiration and circulation to cleanse and nourish us. Congestive heart failure is a condition where the heart is unable to pump blood through the body properly. Seek medical help to stay alive. Eating a strict raw diet that includes a little cooked starch eaten with plenty of raw fat gradually cleanses and heals the heart. Eating 2 nut formulas weekly helps restore heart nerves. Eating 2 smoothies daily, 1 made with unripe pineapple, helps cleanse and tone the heart. Eating the honey butter mixture helps soothe it. Eating unheated honey with meat strengthens and gradually restores the heart. Conjunctivitis, also called pink eye, is an inflammation of the whites of the eyes and eyelids. Sipping 2 to 3 smoothies, each made with 4 raw eggs, blended with 3/4 cup of fresh unripe pineapple and 8 tablespoons of unheated honey throughout the day for several days helps the eyes cleanse during this radical detoxification. Getting rest, relaxing the eyes, and avoiding sunshine make this process tolerable. Then for 10 days more, eating a balanced raw diet and drinking 1 pineapple smoothie once daily ensures healing. Topically, applying a poultice made by blending 1 raw apple and a half teaspoon unheated honey, or a poultice made of 1 red potato or yam by itself on your closed eyes and letting it stay there for at least 20 minutes soothes and relaxes the condition while the diet heals the eyes. Constipation is a condition where fecal matter collects, dries out, and is difficult to expel. For temporary relief, blending a green apple with 5 to 8 tablespoons of cold-pressed below 96 degrees Fahrenheit oil, the juice of a half lemon or lime, and 1 to 2 tablespoons unheated honey usually gets fecal matter moving quickly. Lonza's remedy is to drink raw fresh grapefruit juice. Another is to drink the mixture of 6 ounces hot water, no hotter than a finger can stand when immersed for 3 seconds. 4 tablespoons unheated honey, 3 tablespoons raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar, and the juice of a half a lemon or lime. A less comfortable remedy would be to eat unripe pineapple while drinking 5 to 8 tablespoons stone-pressed raw olive oil or 4 tablespoons cold-pressed below 96 degrees Fahrenheit raw flaxseed oil. Constipation indicates that a person is not eating enough fat, or that he or she is eating too many cooked foods that are drying and hardening because they are indigestible, inassimilable, and unutilizable. Eating plenty of fresh raw foods, including plenty of raw fat, usually eliminates constipation. Chronic constipation results from too little E. coli bacteria in the digestive tract, usually caused by antibiotics, vaccines, food additives, and preservatives. Coughs are the body's way of loosening and eliminating toxic mucus or increasing circulation to the torso, including respiratory and cardiac systems, intestines, and gonads. However, if the mucous membranes cannot produce enough mucus to bind with the toxins, they become dry and convulsive coughs may result. Drinking smoothies made of 2 to 3 raw eggs, 1/2 cup fresh raw fruit, and 2 to 4 tablespoons unheated honey supplies the nutrients to form healthy mucus and lubricate mucous membranes. Eating equal portions of grated raw horseradish root or ginger root and fresh raw lemon juice helps thin toxic mucus so coughs don't have to be as violent. All right, I think I might stop here.
Okay, man.